Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Jonquil here, and today I'm going to survive 100 days in the new 1.19 update. Obviously, by this time, 1.19.0 should be about to come out, and spoiler alert, am not actually a good enough Minecraft player to, not die, so this will be in survival, but as my first video, I thought this would be a fun idea to kind of just dive in head first and do some stuff. So, as you can see here, day one was a matter of just pretty much some basic survival stuff, chopping trees, and stuttery video, I'm sorry. I did not have stuff fully set up as I should have by this point. But I learn along the way, so bear with me. So here I chopped down some wood, killed some cows, started basic survival stuff, like getting stone and making tools and the stuff you really need to do to survive 100 days, like making a bed and a furnace and a crafting table, and a lot of killing animals, which did not always feel good.
There's a baby. Oh. Okay, you two can live.
But anyway, after finding some coal, actually a lot of coal, and mining for a really good time, also for some copper, which, spoiler alert, this really doesn't get used. I just love the copper block. I finally had the big brain moment to, look and see what time it was. So I started building a shelter for the night. This is very temporary, and I was mainly conserving materials, but slabs are your friend.
Yeah.
So anyway, after putting that down, I set up a little bit of workstation and started cooking some food. Because you need food. So after the typical kind of absurdly long Minecraft wait, I got a second furnace started and then turned in for night one. Day two started as much the same. A lot of mining, a lot of getting food, and then a little more coal. It's like one of those finite resources you need an obscene amount of. And then I finally found a cave, so I just was like, yeah, let's explore this. Which was a really good decision because iron, finally. This led me, interestingly enough, to a mine shaft, which, okay, this seemed like a good plan, but I feel the need to remind you, I have no armor. So, like, I survived this one. I got the accomplishment. I promptly died. We all saw that coming. So I turned in for the night, and with that, day two was over. Day three started much the same, with some more copper smelting and using that iron to make a set of iron tools. Before I actually went up, marked home base a little more clearly, and went back to exploring the caves. Now, I had this wild thought in my head that, like, the first thing I needed to do was get to the nether, so I was determined to find flint and make this flint and steel. This just got carried for a while. I did find some lapis and gold, though, so overall, kind of count that as a win. Then found this really cool area that almost promptly died in, but it was water and lava, and I'm like, I can make obsidian, right? Like, I did pretty promptly get distracted by redstone, which I also never use in this video, like, ever, but I found redstone. So then I finally went to try to make obsidian, which the order is lava goes in water. Remember that for me. Then I made torches and an iron chest plate and finally just started suiting up. The torches were important because, I did run out of them, and that's how I died. I just could not see the skeleton attacking me. But, solid way to end the day. So day four, more of the same for now, but I'm definitely trying to make some progress before carrying on. Had the first thunderstorm, which I did not run into a charged creeper. I have never run into a charged creeper. I am not convinced they exist, despite skeleton being the one to kill me here. So with that, day four came to an end, and day five started bright and early, with a tower so I could find my base before setting out into the unknown. Now, my goal here had been to find either a village to trade or a mangrove swamp as one of the new 1.19 features I really wanted to highlight in this video. So, along the way, I gladly got some birch, new wood type, and some sugarcane, as well as a regular swamp, which I did freak out about a little. I totally got played. Though it did kind of bring with it some good in the form of my first ruined nether portal. I couldn't repair it, but I got some good resources out of it. As night fell, I continued forward and found a second ruined nether portal, which the recording was too cruddy to actually show if I found anything in there. I don't think I did. But I did find some pumpkins, which were another good win. So on day 6, I finally found a village, yay, which I happily pilfered for its bread, resources, and anything else it could basically give me. This weaponsmith? Yeah, he didn't know it yet, we're gonna be friends. So as night fell, I continued pilfering the village and kind of took over this one chest as my own. Told you, weaponsmith, we were gonna be friends, we're sharing a house now, and then I decided to turn into the bed I had claimed as mine to go get some sleep. So day 7, started back at the village, decided to explore a little more to get some resources so I could trade with these guys. Which is how I found this cave that I would definitely be spending the next couple days in, given how long this lasts. Also, you may notice in this chunk of the video, this day I was playing, I did not have the Minecraft launcher set up right. So, the bottom row that shows my inventory and everything is cut off. I'm sorry about that. It was completely an accident. But as you can see, at this point, I was headed back into the cave. This is still day 7, blown up, and same with this. It'll be a little bit before it actually switches days, but gonna keep making these trips. This is the first time I've fought some of these monsters. Not for me, but in this 100 days, that sword was annoying. Some obviously go well, some do not. And this time I think I actually sleep. I've gained a new cartographer husband. Will be trading with him. Though, he wasn't exactly my taste, so I went to go find a different husband, reset spawn. So finally on day 8, I went back to Weapon Bestie's house, restocked again, and stole the use of their furnace a little bit, started, cooking some more food. Then finally got a chance to trade with Weapon Bestie. Hey Bestie, how you doing, Bestie? So anyway, back to the cave, did some more mining, found some more iron, a bit more coal, wore out some resources, and then definitely got blown up. You guys really gotta stop switching beds on me. That is not who I married. So day 9, woke up to this stranger staring at me, did a little more exploring around town, stole a chest, went back to Weapon Bestie's house, decided to expand my claim, then went to find Weapons Bestie. They feel like they need a name. Let's call him Jordy. And then this guy who was pretending to be my husband, I realized he actually could be some useful, so I decided to use some of those wheat blocks I mined up and trade with him too. So then I went back to making some actual progress, mined some more wood, really would be useful for torches in particular. Basically, that lasted all day, literally did that into the night, literally did not sleep. I think this was at the godforsaken point where I didn't realize how long 100 days actually was. So on day 10, I finally found emeralds just naturally occurring and went exploring some more. I did at this point know I really needed to go find a mangrove forest at some point and decided it was probably worth the little hack. Come on, the whole point is 1.19. I can't spend 100 days trying to find the 1.19 terrain. So at this point, I did find this really cool underwater nether portal. I am watching this back with you because I really probably should have taken all those gold tools. Did not. At this point, noticed something fishy and noticed something on fire specifically. And basically was like, heck yes, we're getting us a nether portal. That took me from day 10 into day 11 and pain. And at that point, I realized I really needed diamonds anyway, so I decided just to kind of dig down, find a cave, get some diamonds, and promptly found myself back at the start. Is that my bestie with my... You know what? It's for the best. It's for the best. So I went and did some more trades with Jordy and the boy, and basically, this time, knowing I was leaving and not making a drop of the hat decision, Day 12, stocked up, made a few last minute items, and went to bed to get out bright and early the next morning. Day 13 had a befittingly bad opening, but after that, just was a matter of picking up the bed and heading back towards the cords. Was lucky enough to find, again, another forest fire around a lava pit, and was like, yeah, I'll set up a temporary camp here, basically just my bed, and let's try again with this nether portal. I have to say I got very lucky with the water there, because you'll see later that that did not work consistently. This time definitely had a few more monster troubles building in the rain at night. Got caught in almost a death loop. But this time made a successful nether portal. Was very excited to actually get to the nether, though I did have to deal with this little problem first. Thankfully it wasn't too bad, but that could have been real bad. Set up a little bit farther away, tried to like give a little more cover, and then made some like actual gold stuff for the nether. Before, on day 14, finally going in. Welcome to the nether. So, I found myself spawning in a crimson forest, and this one isn't even worth trimming because you will see how long this venture lasts. Yeah. So, for the record, as I keep going in and out, my train of thought here had been, okay, I know I need to enchant, so that means I need blaze rods, right? It literally would take me multiple in-game weeks to realize that is not what you need for an enchantment table. That's a potions maker thing. But at this point, I decided to go try to find a nether fortress. So I was in the biome. But you see, I am also an idiot. So again, and again, and then I realized this just was not my time. So on the night of day 15, I headed back out and continued looking for the mangrove swamp. This was also the first instance of something you'll definitely see more frequently, which is me just chilling on the water to avoid monsters. This becomes my best friend, especially later in the series. But at least at this point, I happened to have a bed on me, so I just got clear of monsters and took a little nap to wake up on day 16. This was another travel day, pretty chill, occasionally grabbed some resources here and there. Found this really cool cave system, which is the one thing I really have to give a lot of credit to. I fully thought I was coming back here at some point. Haven't yet, but maybe yet. Let me know if you want another one of these videos. So, with that, day 16 night, decided to steal the bed and keep making some progress. I was, to be frank, really determined to get to the mangrove swamp before day 20 at least. Woke up to day 17 to the very unpleasant surprise that most of this day wasn't recorded, but at least found the swamp. So I could finally start making a bit of progress here. I knew at this point that I was definitely going to need to get diamonds. I could not get much farther without diamonds. So I started making this little cave down. Ran out of torches, came up, slept for the night, or attempted to, there were monsters, and then slept for the night. Woke up on day 18, if I'm counting right, to do some crafting and basically go back mining again. If it's not at this point, it's at some point soon. I basically stop including these little clips of just me organizing and crafting some stuff every morning. This is basically what I do every time I wake up, so just know that that implicatively happens. That said, found this really cool water area right underneath, so this actually opens into a cave, I guess. Found what I thought was my first diamond and was so determined to get it. This did not go well. So back to the mines it was. Just trying this again with a little more direction. Definitely think that diamond was lost though, given I never actually found either where it was or where it dropped. Did find that this did lead to a legitimate cave system though. So now on dry land from this little wet area, decided to go exploring and see if I could find diamonds on my own. Spoiler alert, this is basically what I was doing for like the next couple days. So I'm just gonna cut until I'm done caving and something happens. Which, if I'm counting right, this should be day 20 that I finally realized I need some leather to make books, to make an enchantment table. So I also stumble across this ruined nether portal again. This one's really convenient because it's really close to the base. Don't actually make another network, but if I actually come back to this world, if you all want me to again, then that's something I'm definitely thinking of. Anyway, as was kind of the goal of today, killed some cows, got some leather, started raining again, but I found some sugarcane because of that, and also saw my first frog. I love him. I didn't take him home at this point because I didn't actually have a lead, but as night fell, I walked back. This also, if I remember right, yep, it ends in disaster. But then got a little sleep and woke up on the morning of day 21. Finally made some books and definitely made some progress on getting the start of my enchantment table. At this point, I finally decided to take a look through this new biome. Like, I'm in love with the mud blocks, I'm in love with these roots, I'm in love with the wood, but I can't actually physically see it yet. So that's when I decided to start climbing and get some stuff. And oh my god, it's so gorgeous. I am so excited to actually do a build in here. Spoiler alert, from here you're gonna see that I do a lot of building. But anyway, so I worked all through the night, mining some stuff, finally went to bed, woke up on day 22, crafted that into some planks, mined some more mud. Basically, this was all just thriving in the new biome. From there, it started raining again, so I cooked some stuff, then headed back to the underground to finally try to find some more diamonds, because at this point there were two things occupying my mind: a need for a diamond pickaxe to mine obsidian, and the need for diamonds for the enchantment table. By the start of day 24, I finally had enough diamonds to get that pickaxe, so I spent most of the day just turning this lava pool I had found earlier into obsidian and mining it up. By that point, realized I still didn't have some of the coal I needed, so night of the 24th, went back down and started mining again. Was super lucky this time to actually notice something out of the corner of my eye and stumble upon a beautiful geode. I love the geodes. They were from last update, but I'm still gonna fangirl over them. I'm gonna make a comment that said, I wish these had like a use. Remember that. I'm an idiot. This also applies to me falling to my death right there. Anyway, so woke up on the day of the 25th. And finally decided to take advantage of that nether portal. Started by mining out this obsidian, which literally, crying obsidian takes so long. But then rebuilt it, lit it, and stepped back in. Was incredibly thankful stepping back in that I at least wasn't in the same biome anymore, but I was literally inches from it. Managed to sneeze and knock myself into the lava, for the record. So anyway, at that point I figured probably best if I just like keep going with my initial plan and go find more diamonds. This day was actually my best haul, so by about the middle of day 25, I managed to make that enchantment table. You know, the thing I don't use for another like 40 in-game days. Anyway, I have a sword now. And I set up this table with like 3 of the bookshelves as should be, went over to get it with some lapis. Did actually make a single like enchanted book or 2 at this point if I'm remembering right. Mostly was just like enchanting the things I had on me. Did definitely get some actually really good enchantments on this one chest plate that was so close to breaking it just sat in my chest for the next few days. But at this point, I decided it was about time to actually do some last minute mangrove wood chopping and start building. It rained again on the 26th night. I did a little more organization, towered up my storage. Definitely took me too long to remember that word. Indulged my cryptid hunting side, and with the lightning decided to go try to find a charged creeper. It would definitely kill me, but I want to see a charged creeper. Still never have. And like I expected, I definitely got killed here. So rather than get killed a second time, I turned in for the night. So woke up on day 28 and tried to make more mud. Realized I didn't know how that worked. But definitely took advantage of the opportunity and started outlining the rooms of my future base. This took me pretty much all day, but as I kind of outlined it, I definitely went with the vision in my head, and you can see a bit of what it's gonna be maybe start to take shape. And I definitely like the kind of place that landed on for the day. So with that, night started to fall, and I was running out of blocks anyway, so pretty much I took care of this creeper and then turned in for the night. Day 29 pretty much saw me continue my work from the day before, kind of outline it some more, finish up some details. Remember how to make like a circle shape in Minecraft because these corners are meant to be kind of rounded. Then after that, kind of take a break from the building to go do a little more nice relaxing mining, assuming I don't get murdered by small children any more than I already do. Day 30 saw me back in the mines. Again, I think I'm pretty sure, I don't even actually remember what I was looking for at this point. I'm pretty sure I was looking for diamonds still, just because, like, more diamonds are nice to have. Would love some diamond armor. But gladly took some coal and a couple more L's. Reasons why playing with the sound on is definitely not a bad idea. Anyway, decided to finally clear out the very last bottom bit of the obsidian lake that I got interrupted from clearing out initially. And then returned home to sleep and start doing some more builds the next day. At this point, my focus was to get some solid floor done. This was not actually the floor that I'm placing at this point. This is because I decided, hey, it would be a really good idea to have levels in this house where like some are slightly higher than others. So this was an attempted elevation. And this was me filling in some of the watery holes in the middle of my house because can't have those unless they're intentional. AKA a pool. Anyway, day 32 came to an end a bit slower than I actually liked because I did know I wanted to sleep that night. But the next night, went out adventuring a little more, found some more pigs, pumpkins, and decided to climb a tower. I'm not Rapunzel. Climb a mountain. I wanted to see if I could find a village because there was one thing all my tools were really desperately needing. Mending. So I found the lovely savanna biome you just saw, decided to grab some acacia trees because like I'm not huge on the orange, but like the gray is gorgeous. And then tried to spend the night on the lake, got impatient once I saw the village, and decided to just kind of sit here till day happened, wandering through the town. Decided to do a little more casual looting, checked out some of the local prospects since me and the husband were now separated. Past life issues. Speaking of past lives, these guys look like they really needed to head to the afterlife, given I didn't have the tools on me to cure them. Went about resource gathering some more, just like last time, and then decided to make contact with the local indigenous species. Turned some of the paper into a lectern, and then used a boat to try to lure any of the villagers back with me to try to take them home, make this much more convenient. Made a fatal error here, not realizing this lake didn't connect up with like all the other waterways I used to get here. So with this homeboy fleeing, I kind of just set the boat here and like tried to lure anyone else. Yay, found a really good guy, found two actually, but then I couldn't sit. So I tried to break the boat under them. That did not work out for me. Spent the rest of the day basically making my way back to the village, and by nightfall basically got there, spent the day just kind of chilling. I definitely still forgot the emeralds that were in my chest from the first village, but it's okay. I had the lectern on me still. The goal is just to turn one of these guys into a lectern dude. A librarian, there's the word. So basically I sat there, reshuffled for a while. I cut out a lot of this and waited until I got mending on him. So my only quest at this point was, after setting him free, go get some emeralds, lock in that trade. As I know all too well from me and my friend's server, if you don't lock in the trade, you're in deep trouble. So casually hunted some cows, did a thing I'm not proud of, but I needed leather, and definitely took an L. That was karma. So anyway, this time actually armed with emeralds, I departed again, intending to head back towards the village. I was definitely killing some more cows, getting some more leather along the way, when I realized I was definitely lost. Which was okay, because I died, And then we slept one more time. And then we tried it again the next day. Got some coal along this way because, you know, if I'm gonna be hanging out there, I'm probably gonna need some food. And found the village again. So at this point, thankfully saw that he was still on mending, had the emeralds on me, and traded him to lock in that trade, which, bless. Traded the leather I'd gotten along the way, instead of to make books, to the leather worker, and then traded some of the wheat I had collected to the wheat, blah blah blah, paper here, yep. I didn't have the brain cell yet to mine these up, but I finally got it, and then turned these into wheat and also traded them with the farmer. Friendship ended with Jordy. These guys are my new besties, especially the mending guy. So I pilfered some more of their wheat, did remember this time to actually like replant some of the seeds where I had gotten them. Basically, I was taking a lot of their stuff, so like, gotta make sure they survive the winter, especially if I don't. So this should be the start of the day 42. Made a hoe, decided to plant some more of these seeds, basically. Decided to start this garden with the seeds I had brought back with me. This was definitely going to be useful, I would later find out, not just as, like, the food source I intended, but also because, you know, wheat is required for mud bricks. You will almost never, if not actually never, see me make them, but that's how I get a lot of this. So anyway, despite me defending the farmer, I did hit him, so by the time I got back, he was very salty with his trades, but it wasn't that bad. So I got another mending book. I think this is the last one I get for the moment, but it's at least another mending book. Decided to swap out some of the trades because I was really trying to get another farmer using a composter, who traded some wheat. Spoiler again, I didn't ever do that. Like, there just wasn't a lot of other things growing here other than wheat, so I just kept dealing with this one farmer a lot. I also kind of accidentally lied. I did trade one more Mindun. I forgot about that until I just saw it with you guys. So anyway, at this point, I thought to look at this nether portal again, realized I never pilfered too much from it, so I actually decided to like trade some stuff. That's a really good pickaxe. I really should have put mending on that, honestly. But anyway, beneath that nether portal, I also found a lovely caving system. I died immediately trying to go in it, so like, that's my B. But I was typing back one more time, so it was in the back of my mind. So I finally made an anvil to add some of these books to my weapons. I was initially gonna put it by the enchantment table, but like, I kind of realized that was a little inconvenient if I'm storing all the books in here. That's something I might come back and revisit later. But anyway, I finally added mending to that one chest plate that was really good. My intent had basically been carry it around with me and repair it like that. Didn't actually happen, but I added it also to my diamond pickaxe, to my diamond sword, everything I was using quite frequently or had the potential to be really good after I finished this one, I added it to, and then turned in for the night. The next day I spent cutting some more wood down because I realized you can't make an entire house out of just mangrove wood, so I decided I needed to start at the corners, adding this lovely detail. Fell asleep again, and the next day cutting down some more mangrove trees for their lovely, lovely pink color and their all the details that you can make in a house like this. I had a very specific vision in mind. I also wanted to see how to actually grow mangroves, and I knew you should be able to do it underground, so I actually spent a little while of this day just like enjoying putting them underwater and seeing how well they grew. And in all the like different variations they could grow in, like if they could grow in sand and in the dirt and in the mud. Basically, this was just like a fun little side quest for me. Then anyway, I went back, finished the columns on the walls, just like tried to figure out the height I wanted everything, and was using these decorative columns as like really good judgment call. I knew this area that's outlined in the netherrack was going to be taller than the rest, and night was falling at this point, so I think I finished up some more details. Yeah, I did. And then just went to bed again before waking up the next morning and finishing up the back part of the house, basically. Like, anywhere that was over water was especially tricky, but it was very important to me to like actually get those solid. Anyway, I did again abandon some more obsidian in the lake, so this point it being black was just driving me insane and making me think there's a cave over here that I kept running back to even when there wasn't. But because of that, I just decided it was for the best to mine it up, stop psyching myself out. So, this is where the biggest tragedy in the series happens. At some point during that, my bed got broken. And I didn't realize initially, and my initial reaction was to just press F to doubt. So I decided we're just gonna try to respawn again, see what happened, see if this was a fluke. And after a very long minute, yeah, it was not a fluke. Something happened to my bed while I wasn't looking. And being a few thousand blocks away, I decided to use my cheat pass. My one cheat pass. And just go back to the start. Let's just get back, pretend that didn't happen. It never happened. It never happened. We are all in agreement. That never happened. Go ahead and comment that, actually, if you want to. Feel free to like and subscribe and, like, do all the typical YouTube things, because I will probably forget to ask you at the end. I know how this goes. So anyway, reset it to the start, spent the morning filling in the resultant holes, and just went back to everything as it was, like it never happened. So, my goal for today had been to continue doing all these accent columns, but on the inside of the building, and get like a kind of feel of how this would all look from the outside. So far, I was very pleased with it, actually. Everything kind of is functioning about how I wanted it to, and it's all working together pretty well. Took a quick long rest, and woke up the next morning to continue just kind of tinkering with these guys, getting them to the height I wanted. I decided at this point it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for me to officially lay out like kind of a block palette. Like I had an image in my head of how this was supposed to look, but I wanted to actually make sure it looked right together. So as it started raining, I decided to layer up a second layer of mud at the bottom of the enchantment table room. Just kind of get like a basic floor started in here, and then turned in for the night again. The next morning, I decided to work on like fine-tuning the edges of the building and doing flooring. So I started here with the main entryway, used these oak planks that basically just like kind of made it look a little warm before building up the walls by using at first more of this cobbled deep slate, as like I knew I wanted two colors, so that was the accent, and then was going to build up with planks on top of it. Added this mangrove door that looked really beautiful to the entryway. I tinkered with what direction it was facing. I wasn't sure if I wanted it in or out a little bit. Decided out for the moment at least. Then kind of set them up other places. Here's the mud bricks I mentioned that I wasn't sure if I'd make on stream. I did make them here, so that's the only time you're gonna see them. Enjoy. Did notice when I actually put them out here though, that for some reason they did not work with both the mud and the deep slate. So wound up taking away the deep slate to use the mud bricks as like one of the new focus blocks. Took a quick nap, and then in the morning decided to swap out the deep slate for these mud bricks, including around the edges of what would be the patio eventually. Some of those did wind up going away, and I wound up moving one of the doors to the bedroom door, so it had like this double door going on. This was kind of ironic because it does make it like a grander entrance than the main entrance. Don't worry, it doesn't stay that way forever, at least. Anyway, turned in for the night and continued working on flooring. I started with some of these mud bricks at a floor here, added some stairs. That wouldn't also not stay that way forever. Decided to swap out the mud under the enchantment table room again. This definitely took a little while, but I think it definitely looks better with this mangrove plank that's going on here. It like is a really nice contrast with the enchantment table, like the red little accent. So I went to bed feeling very satisfied with the direction of this so far. The next morning, I again worked on some of the flooring on this upper level section. Since this entire section was raised, I decided to raise up like the outside accent bricks a little higher to kind of get that illusion of the entire house being higher at this point, which isn't much of an illusion as it is fact. Then took a quick look at the outside, just kind of made sure it was going in the direction I wanted before I filled in all the upper levels of the walls with the oak planks. alongside some fine tuning that took pretty much the whole day, so I turned in for the night, and again, woke up the next morning to change of plans. So I decided this room was at risk of creepers given how horribly they screwed me over in the past. So I decided to pick up the block a little bit and then also try to raise this just for some aesthetic purposes. So the enchantment table isn't going to go back down right now, but I have a little bit more of an outline here of the shape I want this, which is a little more interesting and also has some more of those accent columns. From there, I knew I wanted to change out the floor of this room, which is actually the outside patio, into something a little more interesting. So I have been trying to find somewhere to use the mud, and I decided since this was outside, it would be the perfect place, the perfect excuse. So this is like a way to incorporate that lovely block. And then I also decided to take away these mud bricks from here because the upper level of this little ascending area is mud bricks. So having these oak planks carry through to here would be a way to not only keep using that throughout the interior, but also just generally make those two areas separate. So the next morning, I decided to cut down some more oak trees because I really needed some more wood for the columns. Especially as I kind of realized that I needed to add some more depth to the house using these details, and I didn't want to use the mangrove wood because I'm not sure if I've walked front to back of the biome I'm in, like, on screen, but it's really only like 100 blocks wide. It is not enough to use mangrove wood. Even if I replanted, it would just destroy the biome. So instead, I used this opportunity to repair the bookshelves, and now that these were actually getting surrounded in, felt more comfortable with actually putting things like down solidly, replenished some wheat, and then slept through the night. On the morning of day 52, I realized I really wanted to find some place to use these mangrove roots by themselves, not just in like conjunction with the mud. And I decided outside it would look really good because it would be kind of like this pseudo fence, and I'm really pleased with how that turned out, even if it's a bit unconventional. From there, I kept building up the walls on the rest of the house. Basically, my goal by tonight was to try to get the house like entirely boxed in to where nothing could get in other than spiders, which can just like kind of get in anywhere that doesn't have a roof, and I knew I was not getting to the roof that day. But as night fell, I kind of realized I wasn't gonna make that, so I turned in for bed again. So, on day 53, I continued making progress on all the walls, both interior and exterior, but with a large focus on the exterior. I realized as I did this that somewhere along the lines of adding all the accent columns, I had actually made the outside of this just like a box where it's like not detailed at all and the depth was lacking. So I wound up using some of this day to kind of go back through, push walls in and out, kind of as you see here, and just try to make this house feel like a building that you actually would enjoy being in. And I think it was turning out pretty nice. As evening was drawing in, I noticed a very pleasant surprise of a visitor in the form of the Wandering Trader. Didn't have like a lot of really good stuff, but I was very down to buy some brown wood and also some drip leaf, which I have since realized I have no idea where it actually is supposed to be planted. That was completely a waste, but always a good experience to see our friend the Wandering Trader. And it gave me a nice distraction from building before I continued working on these walls. And like yesterday, goal was to try to get myself completely boxed in before the monsters could spawn. This time it actually almost looked like I would do it. I had a little too much to actually do that day to get it completely done, but I got a good portion around, so on the 54th day, I was able to pretty much finish the exterior walls. Around this time, I also walked into another very pleasant surprise. In trying to get out of the house, the two llamas had tossed their leads. So I was able to pick them up, grab the llamas, and build a little bit of a mangrove fence to put them together in. Now, as you kind of saw, the Wandering Trader wasn't actually gone yet, so they weren't my llamas yet. But they're gonna be my llamas, and I was gonna find some way to get rid of him. I just kind of hoped he despawned before I had to deal with that. So again, I wound up building into the night a little bit, but this time I actually did manage to get like all the way around the house, got everything done. Everything was now more than 3 blocks, so I knew nothing could walk in, which is where it became suddenly very obvious I had forgotten light. So after putting a few torches down and finishing up some interior walls, I turned back in and waited for day 55. I have had only good luck with the Wandering Trader because I found him outside and completely out of the line of sight of his llamas. So I just, decided to make him retire early and was thankful to find the llamas had no clue. So advice to anyone who doesn't know it, if you want the Wandering Trader's llamas, just make sure they're not in line of sight of them. So the rest of day 55 was a lot of tweaking, adding more stairs, like I promised I would do a few days ago, fixing up some areas where the columns on the inside and outside had caused a double column at some point, adding like this little interior column to add some more depth to the backside, and otherwise just making sure everything was about how I wanted it to be for the shape of this. From there, I fell victim again to my most ancient foe, the baby zombie, and turned in again. So day 56 was upon us, and I decided to go about the business of first inspecting the house, and then building my upper deck as I had planned to since the beginning. This is where some of the curves on the edges were a little finicky because I wasn't sure how best to make it actually look curved when there's like 1 block of space, but otherwise just kind of built this upstairs patio. I'm going to link this image off Pinterest that kind of inspired like the overall shape of this and particularly of the patio. It's not one-to-one, and I honestly don't know where it came from before Pinterest because, people on Pinterest repost things without ever giving credit. But from that, I knew I wanted to access this upstairs patio via trapdoor that I installed, and I used these mangrove fences again to kind of outline it because both of these details just look really pretty in the mangrove wood color. It's such a good wood. Slept again and woke up on day 57 to inspect the house and decided to start a little bit of a sugarcane farm. For how much I had been going through the sugarcane, it really seemed like a good idea to just have a replenishing source. Once I got home, I decided to try to tame these llamas now that they were officially mine, made the official advancement, and completely missed whenever this one actually tamed. I didn't see the hearts, and just like at the end of this little clip, I'll just check, and he's tame. I just didn't realize. This was accompanied by a mild string of curses that I'm very politely leaving out. At this point, I decided to prep for something that I knew was coming, but was very determined not to actually take part in. So, day 59, I wound up, just hiding the area I had repaired with cobble, putting torches out alongside my garden to make sure that didn't get destroyed any more than it really was, and realized these columns really probably should be a little higher because the entire house was higher. Day 60 kind of continued this little time tweaking around the house and just kind of fixing all these little details, going around the sugarcane farm, repairing that, and just kind of trying to settle on a height I actually wanted this part of the build to be, because knowing that this was taller but wanting to make it smoothly flow into the rest of the build was actually giving me some trouble. This, again, lent itself into bedtime, which let me wake up on day 61, refreshed enough to kind of build, the pseudo-roof panel that would be between the highest part of the house and its little transition area. This also gave me the leeway to come back into this wood section and carve out what would be, a little extra section outset from the rest of the house. This also did bring with it some of its own issues, as I realized I needed 1 row in the middle for glass panes, which this was only too wide, so I needed to extend that, which did kind of change the shape of the wood paneling that had to be right at that point. But otherwise, this wound up a lovely detail to end the 61st day on. Day 62 finally brought us to the roof, the thing I had been dreading since the very beginning. Despite what it may seem, despite all the time I've spent building this video, I have not actually built like a traditional house before. I tend towards like bubbles and things like that in my solo worlds. I've never done a roof before. This was definitely a challenge I knew would be ahead coming into this because I knew I wanted to do something that wasn't just a flat box on the top even. But it was my first time and this intimidated the hell out of me after seeing all the good roof guides and everything on Minecraft Pinterest, Minecraft Tumblr, Minecraft Twitter, Minecraft everything. That said, I was really pleased with the decision to use these mangrove planks as the roof. It was like a really beautiful accent color I could already see as I was just here. You'll see it again when I definitely check on this soon. The one detail I wasn't expecting to give me so much trouble as it actually did was that trapdoor, but I think that was still a good decision for how to get up to the roof consistently, how to get to that patio. And as I continued on day 63, I was very pleased with like filling in these little gaps and making the symmetry. So I didn't really address something that happened a second ago, which was me putting the stairs at the bottom of the outset window. That is something I'll come back to. I'm just, at this point, was tinkering with what color stairs I actually wanted there. Wasn't sure if I wanted the brick or if I wanted, like, the oak. Came back, though, to doing the roof again and continuing with, like, this lovely archway up top. This continued even through some of the rain that afternoon into evening. Monsters were going to start spawning soon, so I knew I was being particularly careful as I kept working here. But eventually, it just made more sense to go to bed and start over the next day. I'm not sure if I actually said yesterday was day 62 or day 63. Today is day 63, for the record. I don't know where my tongue is, and there's a lot of video to go back through, so just know that today's 63. So anyway, at this point I realized if I wanted a symmetric roof, as I had already been building, I needed to widen the enchantment table room one block, just farther to the back, basically. And that would kind of, I realized later, throw off the symmetry of the enchantment table setup by itself, but at least makes the roof balanced. So, you know, win some, you lose some. Since so much of today is literally just me lengthening this room and building more roof, I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead to tomorrow at this point. Hopefully enough of you are kind of like me with these videos and almost listen to them as podcasts while doing, like, other stuff, like maybe playing Minecraft yourself. So I didn't realize how much I would really thank myself for including the little Minecraft snippets whenever I was actually checking what day it was, because this is day 64, and, like, I thought that would be so annoying, but no, I actually did that, and when I did that, that was so useful. So anyway, I replaced the stairs in the main room today with more mud brick stairs to kind of match the lower level rather than the upper, and then continued work on the roof. Which, honestly, is getting boring even for me watching this back, even though I was the one who did it. So I think pretty much from now on, I'm just going to, like, show a short snippet when I work on it, and then show a still like this of just the progress on the outside of the house, which I think is really coming along nicely. I again had a no brain cell moment, though, and just didn't check my health before hitting the ground. So, day 65? Built some more roof. Built up the area around the edge of the patio also because I knew roof wouldn't actually be directly touching that, so it would make more sense to have this entry hallway actually be a really tall area. I, again, had no brain cells, and here in a second I'm about to fall to my inevitable demise. Yep, I swear I have brain cells. I worked on the hallway till about night hit and was just very carefully trying to close this up. Went to bed and basically woke up on day 60... Is this 66? I think this is 66. You remember how I said I left myself snippets here and there to say what day it was? Did not today. Really could use that. But I made some very good progress on the house overall, and again, I'm very pleased with how this is turning out. You can see I sub out the stairs here, like I mentioned I would, to like kind of see how that looks. At the moment, I'm leaving the wood instead. And then decided to basically knock this entire section down, just like a single block. Just see how that looked more. Wound up actually liking it, but then realized like the entryway still wasn't as grand as it should be, so wound up stealing another door. I think this one came off the bedroom, and putting it up front so the grand entryway was, in fact, the front one. From there, I just wound up filling in the gaps between the roof and the actual walls in the one room that had the roof completed in it. Slept, and then pretty much just went back to building. Again, I worked on the roof over here, which I am going to start skipping, but it was a lovely rainy day, so just had to point that out first. Especially as I proceeded to fall off the roof, die, and sleep. Yeah, my evil plan, noticing how fast these days had been going, was to not sleep anymore, but sometimes you just need a nap. You really need a nap to reset everything. So anyway, I expanded the sugarcane garden, continued trying to make this bigger, more productive, finally closed off the roof to the hallway, didn't want to see the pink curved roof, so this one was meant to be flat, so I covered up all the areas you could reasonably look up. And as night fell, started working on the roof again. This time I did actually work all the way through the night, kind of as I initially intended. Started on the back portion of the house, kind of stretched that up symmetrically. Finished up this section as the morning of the funny number day dawned. Started working my way across the gorge between house sections, stretching up and back. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my work, she mighty and despair. And again, resumed work on the backside of my roof. I did actually go to sleep this night, which was miraculous, mostly to avoid phantoms though. And then continued building, though this time using slabs and basically trying to connect these different roof sections to each other. So, as I kind of mentioned last time, I continued working through the night. I was just determined at this point to basically get this roof finished, because then I could largely call the house finished enough. Spoiler, I never got around to the interior really in the middle of this, so I just going to bed and working some more on the roof in the daylight seemed like a really good plan. Such a good plan, in fact, that apparently the game didn't want me to do it. Like, I just kept clicking, getting the monster alert. I literally went looking for a monster and just instead wound up building all night because I could not find any. So, like I implied, I continued building all through the next day too, which, let's see, that's 70 or 71 at this point. I'm like my character. I haven't slept in a while. But at least that night, the game said sleep was permitted. So I started the next day with a fresher mind and a fresher set of mangrove, I guess. I don't know. I can make jokes. So night fell again, and it started to rain, so I slipped inside the middle of this and found an ender buddy who instantly killed me. That was a mistake. It was a mistake. As the next morning dawned, I continued down here, trying to place the last mud brick stairs over here to finish off the front part of this intersection. I added the last few details up here as best as I could. Slabs are hard to work with. They should really change slabs, though I know that's like a common sentiment. Please, in fact, just do it. Just make them interlocking. And at that point, I finally pretty much finished off my roof. I slipped inside, added a few last little side details to the outer areas that you could actually still see, and eagerly headed back to bed. I'm still not sure I did the best roof in the middle, but otherwise, I was very pleased with how the house came out. The last details I needed to do with these mangrove planks were just plugging up any holes that still remained from connecting the roof and the walls, producing this actual finished quote-unquote product. The only thing it's lacking really are windows, and heading back to bed again. So, like I implied, the one thing we still needed are windows, which led me the next morning to start getting some of the sand from the other end of the swamp, tending to the sugarcane farm while I was out that direction, just get it to keep growing, because I still haven't actually taken anything from here yet. So far it's all been replanting. And moving the post for the llamas to somewhere a little more out of the way so I could go ahead and put a window basically where they were standing. I very eagerly put the sand in there, reset up the enchantment table room, and decided at this point, hey, it did need books. So I finally went to use my sugarcane farm. The glass was ready at this point, so I turned that into another bookshelf and turned the glass into glass panes. By this point, the night had fallen pretty much. I did see that zombie villager. No, I didn't actually get to go get him, but I started putting windows around pretty much everywhere. This was a creeper hazard, and I knew it. But at the same time, windows make every home a little more homey. Especially when you have to, you know, move one of the wooden rafters to actually get a window in there. Hey! So anyway, I kept putting windows both in the front and the back of the house, just making sure they were just about everywhere, making sure they looked as good as they really could. And by the next morning, I pretty much had everything about where I wanted it to go. So I got to start building a little bit of a farm for my chicken eggs, pop some baby chickens in there, started building up the enchantment table some more, and got to go a little bit more to sleep. So I finally, at this point, had the chance to start gathering animals that I need for farming purposes. So I started with sheep and led them very tediously back to my house, where by the time we got back, it had started raining, and I built them another little farm off to the corner of this, at the moment, unoccupied room. This wasn't really what I had planned for what was gonna go here, but I figured by this point we're already in the 70s? Yeah, probably 70s, maybe 80s, of how many days we're at. So it's for the best if I really just put them away. One sheep did manage to escape, so I dragged him back in, nudge, nudge, and then went on out in the middle of the thunderstorm to go try to find some piggies. Did you see that? Did you see that mangrove swamp behind you? Yeah, that's much bigger than the one I'm at, and I just didn't know it existed until this point. Rip. Also, rip here. I take a lot of L's. So anyway, at this point, I decided to turn in for the night and retry with the pigs, like, now instead. Now that it was sunny. So I dragged them back as well as like this cute little frog I had gotten to accompany us the whole way, and then built their own little pen around them, also with a gate so I could get into both of these. Then I decided to pin the llamas as well, since, you know, they're good for carrying stuff, but you have to drag them by lead, so I'm not going to actually be using them too recently. And at this point, I knew I needed cows also, so I decided to build a little bit of a pen outside. I fed them, replenished them, put some stuff away, and then decided to put their food in a little chest by the area they went in. Crafted some pumpkin seeds, bred some chickens, and then turned in again. At this point, I knew I needed leather and no longer had any guilt. So I killed a horse and then dragged some cows with me back to my house. They got put in the pen outside, as had been the evil plan, and I decided to start building the staircase that was supposed to go here up to the roof. That's how you would get to the roof patio from down here. This did come with its own little precarious tediousness here and there, largely that the cows could escape, and that I really needed a slab to, like, kind of actually make one of these areas walkable. But after that was sorted, I bred the cows some more, made some books, and went to the enchanting table again. Finally, now that I had more tables and more books. So, with this basically serving as the actual ending of me building my house, I knew I was not going to be skilled enough or have enough netherite to even possibly risk going to the end. So I decided to, like, kind of just see if I could at least get diamond gear before the end. I found this spawner room that was actually really fun. It had a saddle. I'll probably use that later if you want me to do another episode in this series. And continued thinking of how I wanted this to end. Though it probably would end with being killed by a horde of zombies. My oldest enemy. So, at this point I had the big brain moment to try to think about that chest plate I had enchanted a while back that was actually really good. I wondered if it could be combined with the new one I had just enchanted with something very minor. I wondered if that would be, like, more feasible. From here, I started putting mending on stuff and decided I really wanted to give my pet frog buddy a name. Just named him George. And now on day 81, decided to head back down in here as I gathered some more resources, started going diamond strip mining again to pretty much zero success, if not actually zero success, and kept pondering what I wanted the finale of this to be. So, at this point, I knew I could survive a lot. The horde of zombies that were coming to me would get trumped by my magical trump card, the water. I love water in Minecraft. Have I mentioned that? Including my worst enemy, baby zombie. Ironically, it was after the strip mine that I did find a single zombie, though I literally had to fight for that. That was like the worst. And then got lucky again with some more diamonds here and there. I got killed by a creeper I absolutely did not in any way, shape, or form see. And then decided to take the moment, now that I had more levels, to actually try to combine that iron chest plate, which I'm so thankful I did. Bred some more chicken, bred some more sheep, bred some more cows, and then, day 82, decided it was time to go back to the nether. So, my ambition at this point had been the same as it was going in. I had thought, let's go find the fortress. I still knew the chords in some way, shape, or form, and decided to try to work my way that way. It was definitely hard, though, and this time I was mining a lot of nether chords trying to level up along the way, because I had a feeling I would die, and it would be more worth my while to get enchanted gear. I did have a very good time earning the Ooh Shiny enchantment, because I've never done that before, and I loved getting away from that piglin by just chucking gold in him. I was still undecided at this point if I wasn't at least gonna try to find the in-portal frame if I didn't actually get to the end. So I was trying to do these gold trades with the piglins to get ender pearls, because I was still not good enough on the setting to, like, actually kill an enderman. I did find a bastion around here, though, which I consider my nether victory. It was not the fortress I wanted to go find blaze rods, but I at least got to step foot inside a piglin fortress. I died, but I stepped foot in there. So I went ahead and bred some more sheep and then turned into bed. That was night 84, given I spent a day in the nether. So on day 85, I went back to the sugarcane garden and got some paper. Had the evil thought that maybe I could use dynamite and go get netherite. That isn't what wound up happening with the dynamite. I wound up just carrying it with me, going mining, and finally finding another spawner in another mine shaft. This was the first time in literally ages. And this was the first time I was geared up enough to actually possibly handle one of these. This thing was rife with diamonds. So I used the 2 TNT I had made to go find some more diamonds, cut off some flows, and eventually I ran out of torches, so I just started lighting the wood here and there on fire because I had no coal either. This regretfully proved to be, as probably expected, a bad plan. Though it did let me start day 86 by returning to the mining scene, getting some coal to make more torches, and going back to my old faithful and just trying to find some diamonds this way. I did wind up dying, but got enough to make a diamond chest plate and go back out. This time wound up finding a spider spawner room. This one had some really good loot. It gave me some more golden apples, a god apple, and 2 discs. What is this, the DSMP? If they were Cat and Melohy, I was genuinely going to cry. Anyway, I found some diamonds, killed some more monsters, found a skeleton spawner room, which also had some really good loot. This one I genuinely debated keeping for a minute, but I wound up deciding against it. Traded out some stuff, and generally just kept exploring until I literally got so lost I was in a circle and decided it wasn't worth it. did decide it was worth it, however, to make a new chest and start keeping some of the finer treasures in here. So all the way on day 89, I decided to use some of those pumpkin seeds I had found and some of the other foods I had found and actually start expanding the garden a little more. This was a little late, but better late than never, especially if y'all want me to do another installment of this series. This is my first video, so I have no idea how this is going to perform, but I hope you guys enjoy it at least. Before mating some more cows, some more sheep, and then heading back to what I thought would be the Nether before I had a much better idea. So I had to use a locate command for this. I knew I was going to have to. But finally, on day 89, I had the sudden realization I had forgotten one very popular feature on 1.19. I took the opportunity on the way there to go ahead and get some spruce wood, and then basically waited out the rest of the night on the water. But I knew what I was getting. I was gonna get an allay. Now, again, this is a pillager outpost. I'm not particularly a good player, and I'm not particularly geared out. About the best I've ever played is on easy mode, and for this entire series, I've been on normal. I was cheated of the allay, though. The hole in the roof wasn't there, and I knew I had no way, shape, or form time on day 90 to go another, say, 10,000 blocks out and try to find another. So I just focused on climbing the outpost, seeing if there was something good, like these dark oak logs and potatoes that I could finally feed the pigs, to see if there's anything that could help me summon an allay that had been missing from the outpost. However, to my great disappointment and fear, I had to now find my way down. This was a rough fight, even if it doesn't really look like it. I need some big epic battle music back here. It's probably not gonna get put in, but pretend it is. Before I checked in here and realized, still no allay. So this time I took the L. I walked down the outpost, back to the jungle, and decided it was time to do one bad thing. It's a 1.19 feature. It should have been there. It's not my fault that the seed was weird. So as night fell, I descended into the forest and decided to use my spawn egg. I tried to give it the pillager's crossbow, trying to see if that would work to keep it with me, but it didn't want to take it up, so I instead traded 2 sugarcane and handed that to him before heading out to the middle of the lake for the night and being very thankful that she followed me. So day 91, continued back home, took a different route and managed to get just lost enough that I found a dark oak forest, which I was very thankful for because I really liked the mushrooms. Alas, didn't have silk touch anywhere. Also took me through a jungle, which gave me bamboo and melons, which I was also very excited for. Before this time night fell one more time and made an adorable discovery.
You can sit?
She could sit. So after that, fangirl, I basically waited very patiently for the next one and had one last thought. I knew something that had been added in 1.19 that actually was final boss material. So we continued heading back, very carefully breaking that boat under her till we got home. At this point, it was the night of night 92, and I decided to make sure she got in safely, then deal with all that came after. I gave her a name tag, just like George, but this time her name was Baby, so I attached Baby's name tag to Baby. Now this could have been really useful while I was moving earlier, but I just remembered boats with chests exist, so I added that, as well as a spyglass. You remember when I mentioned me finding the amethyst and just it being very ironic that I thought there was no purpose? That'll be a double whammy, just hold on. Anyway, I slept the night, planted a few things in the garden, namely the carrots, potatoes, and melons that I had found along the way. Used baby's help to breed some creatures. And finally decided I needed some food before braving this adventure. So finally, after one last night of sleep, and baby headed out to go find the deep dark. Tragedy, however, struck much too soon. Just waiting for the night to pass, I felt my boat take damage. And I knew an L had been taken. So, day 95 to 96, I finally slept again. I headed back very quickly on a much more efficient route to see if I could recover baby. But she seemed to be gone. I found another village and gladly took their wheat before, in baby's memory, continuing the quest, gathering some from the dripstone cave along the way. I came across another spawner, this time a zombie one, that very intensely gave me another rendition of my worst enemy. This time, I beat him and made away with the spoils before continuing to the abyss of the deep dark. Blue Skulk climbed up the walls beautifully, but within instance of even touching the biome, I was surrounded by this magical darkness. I knew I had to be careful. Even placing the water bucket that would keep me safe to get all the way down there was a risk. But as I landed, I very patiently held my sneak, looking through the magical abyss of the skulk in the candlelight to see if I could find what made it. The shriekers, the catalysts, the sensors. I was determined to bring them home with me. And, if I be not lucky, to run face to face with that which we all fear. Though sped the footage be, movement was slow and dark and difficult to peruse. The water constantly licked the sensors, and only the spyglass was my ally. I risked placing a torch to see if it could dispel the darkness the sensors created, but as I moved, it was my worst enemy who appeared. He who guards the night. Hi, Warden. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that ounce of me being a Dungeons & Dragons DM. So, when I returned, I looked through my inventory and realized nothing I had broken had dropped or wound up in there. So, on the morning of the 97th day, I realized that I needed that which had been posing me so much trouble to roll. I needed to get Silk Touch. So finally, with my enchantment table all the way at max, I loaded book after book, made a new pickaxe, made more books, and finally obtained what I needed. Silk Touch. I very eagerly put it on my pickaxe and gave it a name. Tiggy Boy. So, on this 97th day, I decided it was worth it for one last sheet. I teleported myself back to the ancient city to explore for as long as I could live. I was immediately greeted with the magical darkness again, but determinedly, I snuck around to each of the things I required, gaining a shrieker, a sensor, and a catalyst. At this point, I was just impressed I'd survived this long, I decided to try to sneak into the rest of the city, see if I could open the chest, see if I could get one of the legendary disc fragments. But every time I moved, even once magical darkness stopped, I knew sneaking alone would still be a sound. And while I explored the magnificent halls, darkness crept upon me again. And I found myself face to face with him once more, holding ever so still. So after spending almost a day just sneaking around and getting back, on the 99th day, I finally decided to see if I could find Baby again. Just using a command, just to see if she was alive. But alas, both variations of the command I knew, she was gone. So, in her memory, I carried on. I decided to put my new catalyst to use. I set up a security system on this day, using the catalyst to create skulk around my base, using the sensors as triggers, and using the shrieker as an early warning alarm. I let several of the cows out just to see the effect of the catalyst as I turned these cows into dank, and then continued playing with these and rearranging my security system pretty much until the night fell. As a reward for my future self, I went ahead and leveled up my enchantment table just in case I wasn't actually at max like I thought I was. Repairing some iron armor for myself, enchanting a few more things, and adding the final touch to the exterior of my home in the form of these shutters. They were a little hard to get into place, but once they were there, it was perfect. So, on the 99th night, I went to bed and waited for day 100. The 100th morning came with little fanfare as I looked around at all my creatures, all my friends, and climbed up to the roof. I looked around me at the world the game had created, that I had helped shape, and thought of everything that we had done. So 100 days later, I finally looked around the world and can say thank you to everyone who was watching. I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope it was a good time. I'm very pleased with the lengths we came to, the house we built, the places we explored, even if it wasn't all the way to the end of a traditional 100 days video. I think we had a very good time in 1.19, and I'm very excited to see where Minecraft keeps going. So, to everyone who's still watching, thank you so much. It was so good to have you. My name's Jonquillen Lace. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Thank you so much. And to all of you watchers, everyone who is still out there after all this time, bye!